All right. All right. So I'm very excited to kick off this series I'm calling Meet the Healers. And I'm really excited for today's chat, our very first one. It's with one of my good friends and my personal BodyTalk practitioner, Dafna Golan. And I want to talk about BodyTalk today. So why don't we get started? Why don't you tell me, Dafna, what you do, and then we can talk more specifically about how amazing it all is.
Sounds good. Well, hi, Stacey. Thank you for having me. So what I do is I'm a BodyTalk practitioner. So BodyTalk is mind-body medicine. And what it does is it goes underneath the surface. It looks into the underlying causes of whatever is happening. And by chipping at those, we can dissolve the current situation so the symptoms go away. So yeah. It's really elegant in a way because it doesn't treat the symptoms, it goes underneath.
It's pretty powerful. And, for context, I had a session with Dafna years ago. A friend of mine recommended that I try this type of healing. And this experience for me was so profound that I needed to know more. And it led to actually me becoming certified myself as a BodyTalk practitioner. So it's a really, really powerful type of healing. And I want to help more people understand what it is, so they can evaluate whether or not it's right for them. So let's talk more about BodyTalk itself. So it's mind-body medicine, it's energy healing, it's all about the story behind the symptoms. What does that mean? Like, what is a session typically like?
Well, that's a really good question. And actually, when you were talking about your first session, which I remember pretty clearly, it reminds me that every single session is different. Even the clients that have come to see me for, I have one that has been seeing me ever since I started. So about 5 years.
Wow.
And every time after a session, he reminds me that it's like, wow, this was different than any other session we've ever had. So it never ceases to amaze me, the nuances and the new information and anything that comes up, and it's really surprising because I don't come into this session with a thought, okay, this time we're going to work on this or that. With BodyTalk, you put aside all of your assumptions, all of your agendas, all of yours. Oh, I think that he should be doing this or that. You have the intake, you see what the person is coming in for, and then you put it aside and then you start the session. So you come in as clear as possible, you check in with the body, check what are the body's priorities today, and you go from there. So that could be really anything.
Yeah, it's really cool too because the experience itself is very relaxing. So it's like you're getting a massage, an energy massage, in like the non-weirdest way possible. You go, you lay on a table and you talk to the practitioner, and then the practitioner does their thing. And I remember for me, I'll never forget my first session too, because it was powerful in a lot of ways. But in particular, the thing that sticks out to me was I had just left a very toxic work environment. And so there's a lot of stuff I was dealing with. And how it came up for me in my body was, you notice there was something to do with that situation in my gallbladder or something energetically what came up. And so you did your thing and we shifted it, blah, blah, blah. And I went home, and the only way I could describe it was I felt like I had energy surgery in the best way possible. Like I could tell it was removed, but I was like kind of drained and I needed to take it easy and rest and relax. And it's powerful, but it's non-invasive, right? There was no surgery involved. You barely touched me. We had a conversation. Right. So I want to be clear, like it's powerful in its simplicity.
That's a beautiful way to put it. I love the energy surgery description. And it's very gentle. There's no needles, there's no prescriptions, there's no diagnosis. And again, there's no assumption. I'm not assuming that whatever you're coming in with, that I know the cause, because two people can have the exact same diagnosis or symptom or whatever, but the reason why the body created it is very, very different.
Yeah. And what is so fascinating to me is how Body Talk incorporates things from everywhere. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to take the courses and ultimately became certified, was because it's very accessible. Like, I don't have a healing or a healthcare background, but I know so much more about all these different modalities. I know about the acupuncture meridians. I know about the eighth chakra. I know about the stress response in the body and the different organs and the different systems of the body. And it's amazing that it's sort of this blend of Western and Eastern philosophies and so much more. I mean, some advanced practitioners like Dafna have taken really cool and incredible courses that incorporate all these other things. But it's really about that practitioner's knowledge of all those things and just applying it to the body and the energy right in front of you and what that person really needs. And it's really cool to see how the stories that can come up and how symptoms that you personally have felt or experiences you felt can be explained or balanced or shifted through Body Talk because of all of this other stuff. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. So the nice thing about Body Talk, like you were saying, it incorporates all these different modalities and systems and theories and all of that into a nice container so anything can fit in. So Body Talk is a priority-based system. So we use muscle testing, we use simple kinesiology. So I have this conversation in my head with your body. I ask yes, no questions. And we call it a formula. So this links to this, links to this. And that's the body's way of saying, okay, there's a communication issue between here and here, and I want to address this and that. So I don't do any of the healing. I just help the body bring all of that up. And I help the body kind of facilitate its own way back to healing. So I don't call myself a healer. I don't do the healing. I'm a facilitator, guide. I wanted to give a little example because my son doesn't get ear infections or things like that, but he was complaining last night that his ear hurts, and it was so bad that he couldn't sleep. He was just crying, and it's so out of the ordinary for us. So I did all I could to calm him down. And then I was laying next to him in his bed, kind of helping him fall asleep. And I worked on him because that's what I do. So what came up was him. So context, yesterday we were walking through San Francisco with my in-laws, and we went to the exploratorium. We had a wonderful day, but I had to redirect him and quietly yell at him a few times about the same thing, because he loves picking things off the ground. And we were like walking in the middle of San Francisco. So there was a lot of that, and my father-in-law's wife, somebody ran into her and she fell. So what came up is that he took so much responsibility over what was going on. Like he was taking it all on himself and it coming through the ear because I was quietly yelling at him. Wow. So all of that kind of accumulated in there. So I worked on him and he fell asleep. And this morning he woke up like nothing has ever happened.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. So it's funny that the everyday symptoms, the pain, the ear infections or whatever, could have such different underlying things that once you tap into that, it just dissolves because the body's like, oh, you heard me.
Yeah. It really is powerful. And it's funny because we think of symptoms and not feeling well in a very specific way. And there's so much more, and there's so many things you might not realize that, energetically you are carrying, or memories or past lives, or, all of this stuff that can interfere and can cause an earache. It's not necessarily the traditional answer. Sometimes it is, but usually there's something else that's part of it. So I think that's really fascinating. And the other thing I wanted you to talk more about is the types of people that you work with. So while Body Talk is totally safe and available for everybody, most practitioners do find some specialty. And I know you in particular have a really interesting perspective because you layer on a few other modalities. So I want to hear more about that.
Okay. So my people I love to work with are moms and babies. And those are moms that are either thinking about becoming a mom or wanting to get pregnant, and maybe there's some issues with that, or even preparing for birth, because that could be pretty intense. Like for myself, at
Yes.
6 months pregnant, at 6 months pregnant, I decided that this is not happening. I'm not giving birth. So I've definitely had to deal with that. And then I work a lot with babies because I have a background in infant development. So I bring that in, helping with sensory motor development. But then with BodyTalk, of course, we can also address emotional and behavioral and all of these good things, connection between mom and baby. So lost my train of thought. What else? Oh,
Well, so I can say, so I've worked with Dafna for years still because I fall into all of those categories above, and my son as well has gotten BodyTalk from Dafna, even though they actually have yet to meet in person. So that's the other thing that's really, really powerful about BodyTalk, and a lot of other modalities do this as well, but you can do it remotely. You can do it via the phone, via video, but oftentimes you can get sessions when you're not even in those environments. Daphne's worked on me. She's worked on my son via text message, which is pretty awesome. So maybe you want to talk a little bit more about that part.
yes. So those remote sessions where you're not even on the phone or video or anything like that can be pretty darn powerful, because you're taking yourself out of the equation. So I get to focus on you and work on you, and I get to go deeper because I don't have the option to stop and ask you, oh, so what is this about and what is that about? I just go. So it can be pretty powerful. And I actually have a couple of clients that are not that far away, but because of their life, a mom of 2 kids that's working full time and just doesn't have time to come in as often as she wants to. So she gets those remote sessions, and I record them. I send the recording as soon as it's done. And then we either check in, we always check in before, but we either check in after if there's any questions or any follow-up. And those can be really powerful, just because there's no, I don't stop, I just go. So.
And I'm a testament to that. I mean, I've gotten a lot of sessions. We've done a mix of every way possible. We've done a lot of remote just because now we're on opposite coasts. And I have to say, when I've listened to the recordings of these sessions Daphne's giving me, and granted, I always give a little context of what's up for me or what I'd like her to work on. So she has some context, but the specificity that comes up in the sessions and what she's able to see is mind-blowing. I mean, she says things in these has said things in these recordings of the sessions when she's worked on me that my brain, like, I couldn't even articulate to myself. But when I heard her say it, I was like, yes, like, that is what's going on. How did you know that? We didn't talk about it. Like, it truly is mind-blowing. It's amazing. And the other thing that is really, really cool is when she's worked on my son, who obviously doesn't speak, in that way. And I speak on his behalf of what's coming up. We've worked on sleep issues, and that's been really powerful. But Dafna has a vaccination support program, which is really, really awesome, because this is a very controversial topic. We don't need to either go into that debate, but what's great about it is it's a way that I felt I can empower myself in the situation that we were in. And so when my son had to get a few vaccines, this really helped his body like assimilate it. And I could completely notice the difference. And it's wild too, because when, in general, babies, they process things a lot faster, a lot differently, because they don't have the filters and the stress of life that us more mature humans do. But it's really, really interesting. So I want you to talk more about what that program is like.
Okay. So I'll preface by saying that I have this program, and it's not to say that vaccines are good or bad. It's only to say that vaccines have side effects. And that's what I'm trying to eliminate, the side effects. So with this, I started this program because of my own kids, because last year or 2 years ago at this point, I don't remember, the law in California passed that you have to have all vaccinations in order to go to school. I want my kids to go to school. So I had to catch up on some vaccines, but I was really worried. So I said, okay, kind of checked in with myself. Okay, do I need to move out of state? Or wait a minute, I actually have some tools, so maybe I should try and use them. So I started that with my kids. I did a quick BodyTalk session before and after each of their vaccines, and I saw that they have minimal to none reaction or reactivity to the vaccines, which was really nice. So then I decided to offer that to everybody else, anybody who's interested, to support the baby or child's immune system kind of deal with the onslaught of whatever is in those vaccines that can really trigger the immune system to go into this insane attack. So it's pretty simple. It's really short little sessions before and after, and you can be anywhere in the world. You don't have to come in, especially because they're so short that I always record them and I answer all the questions. Sometimes there's a little something you need to do with your kid before or after the vaccine, but it's pretty simple and easy to do. And then like you said, Stacy, the babies or kids don't have all the layers that we do. So it works super easy and super quick.
It's awesome. It's really, really great. So we've talked about a lot of different aspects of BodyTalk. I want to know from you, what is your favorite part about it?
Ooh, my favorite part is that I never know what's going to happen. I never know what's going to come up in a session. And I might have like, oh, I wonder if this is going to come up. And it's completely different because it's open and it's really tapping into what your body wants to do. So it's so much fun. And the aha moments in sessions are amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And as someone who's been on both sides, and Dafna gets sessions as well, and I'm sure she'll agree, it really, really is powerful. And it's unlike any other healing modality I've experienced. And it's such a good complement to anything you're doing. It's not like it's better or worse or whatever, but it really can help with anything, and it can help give you a new perspective. So I encourage everybody to learn more. And so speaking of learning more, how do people do that, Dafna? Where can they go?
They can go to dafnagolan.com. They can find me on Facebook and email me at dafna@dafnagolan.com.
All right. Well, I encourage everybody to try BodyTalk, learn more. And if there's any questions, you can reach out to either one of us and we'd be happy to help continue the conversation. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.